Hello, lovely viewers, and the 90% that are not yet subscribed. I've been inactive for 2 years and I've wanted to dissociate the entire time, but put it off because, people were already not talking to me. I didn't want to put the final nail in that coffin. But I really did not want to have my name attached to this harmful high control religion. So I finally did it. I dissociated.
3 cheers for the
J.W. Edgy's Disassociation.
hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Oh boy!
And 3 cheers for
Jehovah's Witness shunning practice.
Squidward! Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip!
Boo! You stink!
Before that, I contacted my parents, 3 friends, and the elders. So this is the story of me talking to them and kind of how it felt to go through this whole process. It's pretty culty. I started by reaching out to my parents. I texted them and I made it clear that I would like to talk to them first, but I had no expectations that this would even happen. My dad never responded, and my mom did in the group chat. She was pretty passive-aggressive at first, but we were able to schedule an appointment to meet. Almost 2 weeks passed after I reached out to them before we can finally meet in person. I wasn't really too anxious until the day of, but that anxiety was really getting to me. I mean, it was the first time that I was going to see my mom and dad in 2 years together to talk. When I pulled up, my parents were out on the front porch. My anxiety was really getting to me. It was racing with a bunch of questions. Are we going to do weird, awkward small talk at first? Like, is this going to be an argument the whole time? Will they hear me out? Like, what even is the best outcome of this? I had no idea, but I just knew this is what I felt I had to do. When I walk up, my mom actually hugs me, and I feel a lot of deep love and sadness. We do have awkward small talk, and then we finally go sit down in the backyard, and my mom asks me, why am I doing this? Why am I dissociating? I tell them that I feel that the religion is harmful and I don't want my name attached to that abuse. I would also like to be able to criticize the church, but that would label me an apostate, and that would result in the same treatment anyways. So for me, what's the difference? They ask me, how is it harmful? So I respond with, shunning is unbiblical, and it's provably harmful, that it is bad for the person being shunned and also the person doing the shunning. Their take on LGBTQ community is extremely harmful to the members of the community. And the unknown amount of people who've died from refusing to accept blood when they need it to survive. I kept it quick and brief so I could not make my family feel as if I was trying to shit on their beliefs. I wanted them to hear my reasons without feeling attacked. And that did not work. Immediately they responded, this is why we can't talk to you. It's always about religion, and I'm always negative of their beliefs. Ugh. It doesn't have to be. Like, I have friends with all sorts of beliefs that I don't necessarily agree with, but we don't always talk about them. Sometimes, sometimes, not all the time. And I don't need to talk negative about your beliefs every time we talk, but it's all you talk about. And I'm not trying to talk negative. It's when you're trying to push your beliefs onto me that I feel the need to have a defense. They say that within the first couple of minutes, I say their religion is harmful, I criticize their beliefs, and am argumentative. I am so frustrated at this point. I said it was harmful as an answer to your question of why I'm dissociating. I criticized the beliefs when you asked how I thought it was harmful. This wasn't a thing I brought up originally. They're responses to your questions. And argumentative is a stretch. Presenting facts against dogma isn't arguing just because you don't believe it. I didn't yell, I didn't fight. I just disagree with you, and I can present my reasons why when you ask me. My mom told me that I can't take her hope away. Hope is a huge seller for this cult. You get to live forever and see all your dead loved ones. My mom holds on to that. You can't take away my hope to see my daughter in paradise. I don't want to remove your hope, Mom. I just don't want to be caught in this cycle of abuse. The crime being that you lost your daughter And the religion is false and holding you hostage. And because of this, now you're losing your son too, the child that you actually knew. For context, my sister died before I was born when, she was just a baby. So now my mom loses twice the children, and I'm hurt and devastated for her. Mom, I hope you see this someday and return to me. You don't deserve that kind of pain. This is a feelings religion, and feelings dictate your actions in it, not truth. Hope over reality, missing your only provable life for a potential better one that you have no proof will come, at least not in the Jehovah's Witness interpretation. My mom said that she didn't trust that I wasn't a believer because when I stopped going to meetings, my mom asked if it was because I didn't believe or because I didn't want to follow the rules. And because I answered both, she thinks it's just because I don't want to do their requirements. This is so very frustrating because she forgot or is cognitively dissonant to remember the full response. Both. It's not the truth, so I'm not going to follow these Pharisaical rules. If you're leaving and want to help your family, you have to be very careful about your words. And even if you are, they still might distort your words to fit their narrative. And they might not even be doing this on purpose. Firm believers lack the ability to separate their beliefs from reality. This means the defense mechanism in their brains need to do damage control, often changing how they interpret information, especially pertaining to anything that might challenge their beliefs. My parents also tried to downplay what I had to say because I haven't lost someone, inferring that because I haven't lost my daughter like they have, or other close people in death, that I just do what I want. And when someone I love dies, that I would inevitably return to the Jehovah's Witnesses for hope. My response was direct. I don't know the pain of losing a child, and I cannot pretend I do. But don't you dare say that I don't know loss. I have received more loss than you could imagine. Literally everyone I ever knew, all my family, all my friends. And what feels worse is I can't mourn their deaths. They're still alive, yet I'm dead to them. This was the only part of the conversation that I saw them stop and think. I saw the look in both their eyes soften. When it was all said and done, we talked for almost 2 hours, and there wasn't really much more worth noting. We agreed to disagree, and we won't be having future communication except for emergencies. Outside of that discussion, I reached out to 3 people that I wanted to tell. I decided that I wasn't going to explain my reasons for doing this unless they inquired. I really hoped that someone would ask, thinking that, if the situation was reversed, I would have definitely asked to try to at least answer their questions and bring them back to the faith. I was quite surprised and disappointed that not a single one did, but I was also surprised that they took the time to answer my calls, all of them, and we all got to catch up for about 30 minutes to an hour each. It was some form of closure, at least enough to make me feel a little better, and I hope it was closure for them too. They will be loved and thought of often, and I hope they escape the cult someday and we can all be friends. So after I reached out to everyone else I wanted to at this point, I finally was ready to send the elders a text. I chose 2 elders that I was previously very close to, that happened to be in my last judicial meeting. These were brothers that I went camping with, that I was friends with. I like these guys. I sent this message, and they responded 4 hours later with this message that I found hilarious. I texted them on my new number that they didn't have, and they were worried about some hijackers for some reason would use their gigabrain hacking skills to remove me from a cult. Pretty wholesome hijackers, if you ask me. They texted me at 9:40 at night, and since I didn't respond fast enough for them, they double texted me 45 minutes later, which I thought was pretty funny because it was just a copy and paste of the other message. The next morning I replied to them, and we scheduled a call that they were an hour late to. What was that scripture that says letting your yes mean yes? Anyways, they called to confirm my wishes. They said that they would like to make a request, and I could tell them that they could go fly a kite if I wanted to, but that they needed to ask if I could write a letter expressing my wishes and explaining my reasons. I declined, and I explained that originally that was the plan. I was going to write a letter with all the reasons, everything that they got wrong scripturally, and all this and that, and why this makes me angry or whatever. But that was nothing but negativity, and that wasn't going to benefit me, and it wasn't going to benefit them. But we're on a call right now, and I was willing to explain my reasoning if they desired. So we ended up talking for like 15 minutes. It was nice. I got to explain a couple things that probably fell on deaf ears, but if I'm lucky, I planted a seed of doubt that'll flower into curiosity of truth. I found it notable that they mentioned my dad told them that he thinks I have an issue with the shunning arrangement. I agreed. It's interesting because I explained how the scriptures that they use to validify this practice is unscriptural when contextualizing these passages. The response was, "We wanted to let you know there were changes to the policy." Now, I was aware of this already, but I let them explain in their own words. They said, "Now we can say hi to disfellowshipped ones in the hall, and disfellowship members can be reinstated in as fast as 3 months." I bet they didn't hear how insulting this was, so I didn't take much offense, but instead explained that this changes nothing for my situation. In order for me to receive these slightly better treatments, I would have to believe the religion, which I don't, or pretend to believe. For a non-believer such as myself, this does nothing, and I'm still going to be shunned as long as I don't conform to this group that I don't believe. The shunning makes no difference for me, or many others like me, but I did acknowledge that it's at least a step in the right direction, and I was happy that they were getting a little more liberal. After that, they told me that they're going to miss me and that the door's always open, and they hope to see me again one day if I ever want to come back to Jehovah. And I told them I appreciated that thought, and that the same goes for me, that my door is always open to them with no expectation, that I'll always be their friends whenever they want to reach out to me. All in all, this process was emotionally draining. I knew it would be, and that's why I pushed it off for so long. I'm hurt, I cried, and I continue to mourn the loss of friends and family that are living and mostly within an hour drive. That being said, I have no regrets. I feel liberated. I have no ties to this dangerous cult. I hope I left a good witness for those I spoke to. If you're one of my friends watching this, whether I called you or not, there's always a place for you in my heart and my life. You can always call, text, or DM me. My Instagram is jwedgy. Find me there. Well, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.